Awesome. All right. Well, welcome everybody to our training. This is going to be hosted by the Hope to Women, which is really a platform designed to help small business owners, women business owners, gain access and resources that are funneled through the Association of Women's Business Centers. So with that, I know that you all are coming really from the field and supporting small business owners in your community. So I don't want to take up too much time here in the intros. We've got a great speaker with us today, an expert in productivity, coaching and training. And she's going to be here to talk a little bit about how to reduce stress, gain productivity, as well as kind of increase that success and your overall goals throughout the year upcoming. So with that, I will toss it over and let you share your screen if you wanted. This is going to be an interactive conversation. So if you're able to do so, I know this might even be like lunchtime or you're trying to juggle different tasks, but we want you to be on screen so that you can interact with each other, collaborate, and engage with our speaker. So with that, I'll toss it over.
Thanks, Jackie. And I totally agree. If you're possible, you get on screen. If your pajamas or dogs are barking or kids or anything, it doesn't matter. It's just it's so nice when it's an intimate group that I'm not planning on using the chat box. We can actually you can actually talk and answer the questions. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate your time. I know it's an investment. I hope to give you a lot of value. My name is Mridu Parikh. As Jackie said, I'm a productivity coach and trainer. I specialize in working with small business owners. And welcome to Overwhelmed, Overstretched, and Over It. Jackie, can you see the screen? I just want to make sure you can see the slide. Okay, then I know I'm in two different things here. All right. Well, let's jump in. Okay, who here has felt like no matter how hard you try, no matter how many to-do lists you have, no matter how many time-saving apps you download, you're just kind of barely keeping it together some days? Anyone feel like that? Yep. Yes. Okay. Who here feels like you've had a day just in the last couple of weeks that you have been on since morning till night, right? First thing in the morning, you get up, you're doing all the things for all the people, you're running around like crazy, checking everything off the to-do list. And yet at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, you look around and you think, what did I get done today? Anyone have a day they felt like that kind of a little bit in the last couple of weeks? Yeah. Especially right now, I think with all the holiday madness coming up, I feel like there's this big crunch at the end of the year. We're trying to get everything together for our businesses and finances and client gifts, and then also the holidays and travel and everything coming up. Okay, so one last question for you, and actually I'd love for you to just say this out loud. How do you feel when you wake up in the morning and you're just thinking about everything that's ahead of you for the day or everything on the to-do list? How do you feel? And you can say,
I want to crawl back in bed.
I want to crawl back in bed. Yes. Do you want to say anxious? Did Joy just say anxious? Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like, it's just overwhelming. I think that's the word that always comes to mind to me is overwhelm. So I'm hoping, today what I want to do is help you relieve some of the stress, help you relieve some of this overwhelm. So you get through your days feeling more successful and feeling more productive. But I'd love to know from you, what do you consider productivity? Like, what does productivity mean to you? So again, you don't have to use a chat box. You can say it out loud. Like, what does it mean when you think of I had a productive day or productivity means?
I think that's a thing for me because it varies. Sometimes it's getting lots done on a to-do list, and sometimes it's just being able to spend focused time on a project. So it varies.
Yeah. Yes. Anyone else? Just totally.
Yeah, I think just checking things off the list and knowing that something's actually done.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I can tell you what it meant to me for the longest time. For me, it always meant that if I was not sitting on the couch, I was productive. Like, that was it. I was like, if I was sitting on the couch, as long as I'm busy between my business and my kids and the house stuff and my errands and my bills or something, as long as I was always busy, that meant I'm getting something done, which meant to me, like, I'm not wasting time. So I must be really productive. Right. And I'll say it wasn't just like I was only busy, but I think there were things that felt important to me, like things on my business, creating a website or creating a customer journey or, paying my bills. It felt important. And also organizing my desk or creating, signing my kids up for their practices also felt important. But in the process of putting my effort towards all these important things all the time, kind of going back and forth, things just got away from me. Like nothing ever felt 100% complete. Nothing ever felt 100% in flow. And I was exhausted. I was burnt out a lot. And at the end of most days, or a lot of days, I felt like I had very little to show. So even though I was working on all these things that felt really important to me, I wasn't feeling great about it. So here's what I've learned after like kind of my journey in learning productivity and time management and teaching this to others, is that productivity isn't really, for me, again, necessarily checking everything off the list. And it's not even about like going all day. What it is productivity is an emotion you feel when you get the results you want. And if less time and less effort is just like icing on the cake, right? Because think about it, like how many times are you busy for 10 hours a day straight and still end the day thinking, what did I get done today? But how many other times maybe you've just knocked off 3 important tasks that you've been procrastinating for weeks in just a couple of hours, and then you end the day thinking, oh my God, I feel so good about what I got done. So that is the way now that I measure my productivity. My productivity is how I feel at the end of the day. It's not about how much I got done. It's not about how many effort I put, not even about things like how much I was off the couch. It's just how do I feel about it? So what would it look like if you were only allowed to check off 3 things in a day? Or if you only had 2 hours a day, what would you do with it? So these are questions to think about as we go through these 3 simple steps I'm going to take you through to kind of catapult your productivity. Again, let's keep it to that definition, the emotion you feel when you get the results that you want. So you're less stressed, you make more money, and you have a greater impact. So first, I'm going to go through some really simple everyday mistakes that we make that like cause us to give up your control, our power, our time, our confidence. And then I'll take you through some like super simple, doable ways to get focused and catapult your productivity. And we are going to use the acronym ACT, A-C-T, because spoiler alert, in order to get different results, you have to act differently. Now, there's actually about 7 ways to take complete control of your actions. But we don't have time to go through all 7, but these are the top 3, I think the most critical ones. So we're going to go through those. And if you want to get your hands on the other ones, I'll let you know at the end, like how you can, find out all 7 actions. All right. So the first way that we give up our control. Who here, just by a show of hands, would love to lose like 5 pounds or like get like a little bit healthier, right? Especially a great time for us to be doing this right before the holiday season. So let's say you're like, okay, I'd love to lose like 5 or 10 pounds. I want to feel a little bit more fit and healthy. Would you come into like where you are, your workplace, and say, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the donuts right here, and I put some chocolate cake right here. I'll put some ice cream right here. So like, I'm going to put this all right around me. And then I'm just going to start my work. And here's the thing. I'm not even going to look at them. And I'm definitely not going to smell them. And I sure as heck am not going to taste them. I don't know about you, but that would definitely not work for me. But when we're at work and we're like, I want to do my best work in the fastest time with the highest quality. I want to get out, leave work so I can be home and be present with my family and with my community. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all these distractions right in front of me. And here's the thing. I'm not going to look at them. I'm not going to touch them. Oh, and I'm certainly not going to respond to them. It's not going to happen, right? So the first mistake that we make all the time when it comes to our, just empowering ourselves is that we rely on willpower. And willpower just doesn't work, right? It's a finite amount. We are already using willpower for so many other things throughout the day, not being snarky with our kids or difficult clients or husband or anybody else. And we don't want to use it also for our distractions. So the A in the ACT, as you may have guessed, is to avoid distractions. Because here's the thing. Distractions are thieves. Distractions steal your time. Distractions steal your growth. Distractions steal your productivity. Distractions steal your sales, right? So so do you know that it actually takes about 7 minutes to get into the state of flow? And you may have heard that word a lot. I kind of feel like it's thrown around a lot. So flow is essentially just a state of concentration. It's the mental state of being completely immersed in an activity when you're operating at your best ability. So research shows, however, that we get interrupted by distractions once every 3 to 4 minutes with a message, a ding, a ring, a thought, an email, somebody walking in. So how is it that we can ever get into flow, right? How is it that we can ever be working at our highest optimal performance level? The truth is we put our productivity at risk all the time, and we sabotage our ability to focus on the right things and get the important things done. So I'm going to take you through the 3 most common types of distractions that are very much in our control that we think they're not, but they really are. The first one is your physical distractions. So your environmental distractions, actually, environmental distractions. Your environmental distractions are what's actually physically around you, and that also includes people, right? So it's what's in your environment that's keeping you away from your flow, from that state of flow, even getting into it for that 7 minutes or so. So maybe this will happen to you. You are sitting down to type an email. You're thinking, you're typing, you look down and you're thinking of the next right word or phrase, right? You want to phrase it really well. And as a neurological response, when you're thinking, your eyes shift and you look up. And that's when it happens. And you're like, oh, wait, you know what? I should grab this. I grab this sticky here and I should return this to HR and I should go mail this out. And I should go to the post office and take this to Target and put this in my bedroom and all the things, right? And even if you're not actually doing the thing, y'all, you know, it's going on the mental checklist. So now it takes you out of flow, right? It can take you upwards of 10 minutes to get back into it, but often we know it can take 2 hours because now you've gotten so sidetracked, even that momentary lapse of concentration can take us off for hours. We all know it. We do it all the time. So one of those is just one simple way, but you really want to be thinking about what in my environment is in my control. Does it mean moving to a workspace? Does it mean just clearing off my desk? And literally, I mean, clear off your desk, like take off everything and just take it and put it behind you. So it's out of your peripheral vision and gives you elbow room. And again, this is just to keep you focused. Okay, because the problem is that multitasking, what this does is it gets us into multitasking. And multitasking, honestly, makes us stupid. It does. It leads to as much as a 40% drop in productivity, increased stress, and a 10% lower IQ. Okay, so multitasking, just so we're really clear, is not necessarily like I'm typing with one hand on my phone, I'm typing with the other, but it is going back and forth between different tasks within minutes, within a minute, 30 seconds, within 3 minutes. It's just like that constant barrage of going back and forth, right? The back and forth. And that's what's making us less productive. So you might see a stat like that. And what that ultimately means that if you were fully focused throughout the day, what you could get done in an 8-hour day, you could complete in 5 hours. In 5 hours, that seems like unrealistic to me. And I see that stat, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. How can that possibly be? But I want to actually prove it to you. So I'm going to take you through a little exercise. It's a little interactive thing here. And hopefully this will show us what to do here. Okay, so I'm going to show you that these numbers and let me describe what we're going to do first, and then I'll walk you through it. So you will need a piece of paper and a pen or just something to write down. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but for just this 1 minute, if you have your phone, does everyone not have their phone with them? Just go to your timer. So you go to your settings and go to your timer. Nothing else. Don't check anything else. And we're going to put these phones away. But you're going to set your timer to 0. So we're just gonna like see how long this takes. I'm gonna get my gold pen. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to go super basic here. We're going to write your alphabets and your numbers. So A through M in capital letters, as I'm going to show you, and then your numbers below it from the 1 to 13. And I'd like you to write in your everyday normal speed. This is not a test. We're actually not trying to see how fast you go. So your everyday normal speed, just go ahead, write it, press your timer when you start, and then press your timer when you stop. And let's just see how long that takes. So I'm going to get the screen back up. Here we go. Okay, so just go ahead and do that, and we'll just give it a little bit. Great. Can you send me about, just maybe a few of you, just send me about like how long that took? I'm going to put it in my calculator because
22 seconds.
22. Okay. Someone else? 18, 29, Anyone else? Shoot. Okay, wait. I can't actually see the chat. 1 second, 25. Okay. So I'm going to do like an average here. I'm just going to use my calculator. 18 plus 29 plus 25, 4. Okay, an average of about 23 seconds, let's say. Okay, great. So now we're going to do it again. We do the same exercise, same number, same everything. So we're going to time it again. But this time, what I want you to do is you're going to do a letter number, like A1, B2, C3, D4, get it like that, okay? I'm actually going to put the screen down, but I just want you to just do that, time yourself again. And if you have to go at the same exact speed, don't go any faster, any slower, just like how you normally would do. All right, go ahead. And then when you're done, you could just probably just put in the chat box, like around how long it took. I will get my trusty calculator out again. Is it 132? Okay, let's do this up here. 8 plus, oops. Okay, so 28. So let's just say it's about 23 divided by 28. Okay, so it was almost, for not for everybody, so we're just looking as an average, almost 20% slower the second way. Okay, which by the way, this is a very fast group, because typically we'll get like more like 30, 35, but it's a small group and that's great. So about I just took about an average of only 4 of you. So about 20% slower the second way. So now listen, that is a simple 20-second exercise of like your ABCs 1, 2, 3s. And we know how much harder. I wish things were like that at work, but it's much harder, right? And so just that simple amount of like kind of multitasking, having to go back and forth is already just going to bring your productivity down 20%. So now imagine over the course of the day, now you're like thinking you're doing this all day long, how easily that can be 40%, right? I think if you did it for another 2 minutes, it would be like that. And so we think like if we could just simply, honestly, just stay more focused every day, longer periods of time on what we're doing, how much we could make that. Maybe it's not a whole full 3 hours you'll get every day, but what if you could save an hour and a half or 2 hours by doing this? Okay, so let's move on to the second type of distraction that really disempowers you. And these are your technological distractions. So everything like our phones, laptops, screens, watches, email, text, Slack, WhatsApp, all of that, right? And as you may have guessed, our phones are our #1 contributor to being distracted. Now, industry standard shows that you're getting about 120 emails on average. So sometimes people shake they're like, oh, I got at least 200. And sometimes it might be a little less, but that's about what you're getting every day. And 46 on average, it could be a lot higher, notifications. So you're looking at about 160 just based on that, with nothing else, of all these interruptions from technology. So for the love of all things focused, we want to start with just turning off some of these notifications. If you still have your email notifications coming up on screens or coming up on your phone or coming up on that, just remember, this is basically you saying, hi, I give you permission to interrupt me 120 times a day, because here's the thing, we cannot rely on willpower. No matter how strong our willpower is, we're going to look, we're going to respond, we're going to react. Right? So you want us to turn those off. If you already have them off, consider, are there any other notifications that I can just get off of, get off? I would never say turn off your computer, or turn off your laptops or turn off your phones. No one's going to do that. So do what's really in your control and don't rely on willpower. The more notifications you are of any kind are going to keep you multitasking. It's going to keep you scattered, and it's going to keep you in that loop of losing that 40% every single day. So one of the best analogies I like to give is just thinking of your brain like a cell phone battery. So, when you wake up in the morning, you charge your phone, you wake up, it's fully green. And the more you go back and forth between Waze and Amazon and email and text and WhatsApp and all the things, the faster your battery goes to red. Around 3 o'clock, you got to plug it back in and recharge it. Your brain is the exact same way. You wake up in the morning, you're fully charged. Hopefully you've had a good night's sleep, good breakfast. And the more that you're going back and forth between all these, the different things, the tasks and the emails and the texts and all of the things, the faster your own personal brain battery is going down to red. So around 3 o'clock, if you feel like I need a cup of coffee, or, oh gosh, I sent out that email and I forgot the attachment, or I know that person, I've seen her 100 times, but I can't remember her name. These are all signs of brain fog, and it's all coming from that constant multitasking. So let's conserve our energy and get away from that practice. And then finally, the third type of most common distraction is just our mental distractions, our own thoughts. And this is one of the hardest ones. Well, I think they're all kind of hard to really dispel, but this is something people feel like I have no control because it's my own thing, right? Okay, so maybe you can relate to something like this. So just before this, earlier this morning, I thought, well, I'm going to, I have to send out an email, and I want to get it out of the way because I want to be really focused and really present and really energetic for this session. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sit down, I'm going to knock it out, and then I can be totally focused. So I sit at my desk, I start typing, and I realize in the first sentence, I have written the word or typed out the word triple twice, triple growth, triple revenue. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to find another word for it. So I jump onto the Google and I type in triple synonym. Scroll down to the results, and that's when it happened. J-Lo's having triplets. I'm like, what? J-Lo's having triplets? Oh my God. I click on that. Oh, I can't believe this. And I was like, oh, she already has the twins. She looks so good. Does she ever eat? Eat. Oh, you know what? I'm tracking my food. So I just jumped on here. I'm going to just get on my Fitness Pal and I'll just type in my food. So I put in my toast, my eggs, my milk. Milk. Oh, my sister-in-law's best friend just had a baby and she's breastfeeding. So I jumped back on the Google and I typed in unique personalized baby gifts. Y'all, it was a sign from God. First result, Pottery Barn kids. Pottery Barn? I have to repot my plants. They're outside, they're dying. So I ran downstairs because I'm working from home, dragged my pots in, and I was out there. I was like, God, it is really hot today. Oh my gosh, have we booked the tickets for Thanksgiving? I jumped on to Southwest, got them, and the madness went on for like 20 more minutes. No jokes, 20 more minutes until I finally pulled myself out of the crazy, out of the black hole, dragged my butt back upstairs to my office right here, sat down in my chair, started typing, and I was like, I need another word for triple. Can anyone relate? Right? Can we relate to monkey mind? It is crazy. It is a crazy thing. So this is just our own thoughts, just like going, and it's like you can't even blame it on anybody else. It's just us. So one of the simplest things for this is to figure out a system to get your thoughts down all the time. And the key in this is to have one centralized place. So I know some of you might have your notes app, and then I have my 12 different sticky notes all over the place, right? And I have some pads and some journals in the back of the mountain, you do all these different places. So what I really challenge you to think about is what is one place, because the thoughts aren't going to stop. It's kind of like when you're meditating, it's when they come the most. Whenever you're trying to focus is when the thoughts are going to come the most. And there's two reasons that we react. Number one, we're afraid we're going to forget about it later. So that's the number one thing. But the number two is like, I won't have time later, so let me just knock it out now. But they all result from like, if I had one place where I wouldn't forget what it was, and then I could use that to help me prioritize and plan my day later, that would be helpful. It's because it really is this like lack of confidence. I don't have that place to go to. So I recommend something honestly digital, because these bad boys are stuck to us all the time, right? And so if you're a journal person, if you're a notebook person, I really don't think for your main kind of, I call this master list, you should have something on here. There's tons of software, and I'm not even gonna tell you what's the right one, because there's list making tools. There's Evernote and OneNote and Asana and Trello and Todoist, and there's so many. It could be a Google Doc, it could be a Notes app. It doesn't really matter. That isn't the hard thing. The thing is just committing to one place, right? Because these mental distractions are a result of not having clear boundaries for yourself and just clear boundaries of how you're going to manage your day. So I'm going to actually just tell you I just lost my, here we go. Sorry. So I'm going to tell you about a client that, here we go. Gosh, I'm so sorry. There you go. There you go. I'll tell you about my client, Samantha. And I actually just love to highlight or showcase other business owners because I want to show you the possibilities of like what is possible when you're in business and what you can do. So she's an accountant, she's juggling her business and she's 2 young kids. And she was regularly taking calls until midnight, all the time. So what she would do, she'd work all day, she'd do all the things with the kids, get their dinner, get them to bed, and then get back on her laptop. How many of us do that? And we're working till midnight all the time. She was exhausted. She was burnt out. She's like, I can't do this anymore. This isn't what I signed up for. This is not like the freedom and the flexibility that I thought I was going to get. So one of the things that we did with Samantha, like the main thing, we worked a lot of different pieces, but I can honestly tell you the main thing that we did was work on her focus. We got control of her environmental, her technological, and her mental distractions. And I will tell you, it's actually way less about discipline. It's like people think they have to be super disciplined, and it's not. It's because she was not focusing on willpower, right? We don't want to focus on willpower. She was actually eliminating things and making tweaks so that she didn't have the distractions in her face or on her mind in the first place. So at the end of this time together, she was regularly ending her day. And I mean, closing that laptop between 6 and 7 every night, being fully present with her family, and then getting a good night's sleep, right? And one of her goals was to get healthy again. So, in that time, the few months together, she took control of her health. She even dropped 15 pounds, and we cut out nearly 20 hours of work time, right? Her work time that she was doing between 7 and midnight or whatever time, or 8, or when she put the kids to bed 9 to 12 or whatever it was every day. And she could better manage her family and everything going on at work. She increased her revenue by 50% within 4 months of truly focusing her time and energy. So I tell you all this because I want you to think about, like, what could you do with more focus? Okay, Samantha said her new normal is completely different. My life doesn't feel chaotic. I know what I'm focusing on every morning when I wake up, and this is really a new way of living. So not only was she more focused during the day because she was avoiding distractions, but because she was more focused, she knew what to focus on. And I think that's such a big distinction because it's so hard to even know where to put your energy next every day because you're so scattered and all over the place, right? So it helped her in ways that was beyond just, how do I get away from my distractions, but how do I know where to put my time and energy every day? So here's what I'd love to hear from you. And you can put on your sheets there. What hijacks your time the most every day? Is it your environmental, your technological, or your thoughts? Like which distractions? And then what is a plan that you can come up with to minimize these distractions? And we'll just take like a minute to maybe write it down. And then of course you could be thinking about this afterwards. All right, for the sake of time, I'm going to jump in, but keep thinking about it. All right, so a few years ago, my husband and I celebrated a milestone anniversary. We went, so I live in Nashville. So we went downtown to an area called Germantown to a restaurant, which is way too cool for us. So we go to this place, we had the reservations, and we're like, we're not going to talk about the kids tonight. We're just going to, just really live life, like kind of how we were when we were dating. So we're having this great night and we're drinking martinis and having oysters, and it's just like fabulous. And, I'm just feeling really super connected to him. It's just been a while. Like if you have, between the business and work and family and stuff, it's been really nice for us to reconnect. So, we're talking, we're looking across each other, this great restaurant. And he puts his hand on mine at one point, and we're like swigging these martinis. And he's like, hey, so listen, I've been thinking, I really want us to try something. I think there's something we should really do. We should get this, we should do this thing. And, I'm like, great. Okay, what's it going to be? So I'm like really excited. And he looks me dead in the eye and he kind of gets like a little serious, his hand on mine. And he's like, so I've been thinking, and I really think we should get a leaf blower. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. When you said we should go to Europe, I somehow heard leaf blower. I'm not sure where exactly why my hearing is off. And he's like, no. And then he starts going on about some freaking leaf blower. And I'm like, this is not even happening right now. Right. So I just burst out laughing because I'm like, what is happening? So just to like really reiterate what this scenario was like, well, I am thinking this is, my husband and my beloved, right? And I'm having these thoughts. He's thinking this. All right. So this is the difference in what's going on for us. And this actually is not about husband bashing the story, because I did win the lottery in that, but it's really about what happens in the day-to-day hecticness of our busy lives. Or the point of the story is that we all have priorities, and sometimes they are staring us right in the face. But we are so distracted with everything going on in our busy lives that even the things that we say are most important to us, that are right there for the taking, are escaping us because we're just thinking of so many other things. Which brings me to the second way that we completely disempower ourselves and we give up control. And this is because we are simply just focused, or we're not focused on the right things. Like each and every one of you here has priorities, and you know exactly what they are, right? You have professional ones, like maybe you want to hit a certain revenue number, or start a podcast, or double your sales, or get exposure to a certain type of client. And each and every one of you has personal goals. Like maybe you want to lose 15 pounds, or make better connections, or write a book, or be more present with your family or your kids, right? And even though right here, right now, if I asked you, you could probably tell me exactly what your priorities are, right? But if I looked at your calendar, or if I could be a fly on the wall and look at your actions for the day, your actions probably wouldn't reflect them or your calendar, right? And so maybe you can relate to this scenario. You come into work and you're like, you know what? I know exactly what I need to do today. I know my top priorities are. I've listened to this lady. I'm going to do what she says. So I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to knock out the most important thing. So let's say it's 9 o'clock. You look down and you're like, but you know what? Just going to check my email for 10 minutes. That's 9 o'clock. You look down, you look up. It's noon, right? At noon, you're like, listen, I just opened up this whole can of worms. Let me just tie this stuff up with a bow. I know exactly what I have to do. I'm just going to get back to it. No big deal. Noon, you look down, you're emailing, look up, it's 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, you're still telling yourself, I know exactly what I need to get done, but I am out of steam. I have been up since 5 a.m. or 6 o'clock. I've been doing all the things. And the funny thing is, the thing that I really need to do, that takes some creativity, that takes some brainstorming, that takes some strategic work, that takes some brain power, and I am done. So no big deal. I have plenty of email I can get back to. I'll just do it tomorrow morning. All will be good. Tomorrow morning comes around. You're like, I know exactly what I need to do. It's 9 a.m. And you're like, but I'm just going to check my email for 10 minutes. You look up, it's noon. And then this like vicious cycle happens over and over, right? And eventually you procrastinate so much that there's one of two very negative outcomes happens. Number one, now you're up against a deadline. And now you're totally stressed out. And this kind of sucks because you're stressed. You're like, I'm anxious. I'm going to work late. I'm going to skip the gym. I'm going to eat garbage. I'm going to be, no one in my family can do anything right. I'm going to wake up 3 times during the night. It's all bad. I'm going to skip my workout in the morning because I'm tired. Or negative outcome number 2, you never really hit your goal. Let's say your goal was to lose 15 pounds, to write the book, to get the degree, to make new connections, to get in front of a new type of client, to get different exposure, right? Let's say that was your goal. It doesn't have a deadline. So now 3 months go by, you don't hit your goal. 6 months go by, you don't hit your goal. So often a year or more goes by and we don't hit the goal. So I want to introduce you to the second strategy in the ACT formula to catapult your productivity. And this is to commit to your priorities. Committing to your priorities means, first of all, being crystal clear on what they are, and then creating a time that is specific for them every single day. I like to do this through a power hour. A power hour to me is the most important hour of your day, your life, your business, your health, your relationships, your whole life. And personally, I like to have 2 power hours, a personal power hour and a professional power hour. And essentially that's an hour a day where I am committed to the most important priority going on in my life. So for example, when I was writing a book, which by the way, I thought about writing a book, no joke, for 6 years. For 6 years, this was on my mind. When I finally committed to 2 30-minute periods a day or 1 hour period a day, 9 months later, in my hand, I had a book. Okay. So, and then professionally, you might say, okay, well, the number one thing for me for building your business, it might be connections or networking or sales. And, you know, lo and behold, 98% of the time, this is what always takes the back seat. And what if every day for 1 hour, you say the first hour of my day professionally, from 9 to 10, from 8 to 9, from 10 to 11, whatever time that is, I'm going to fully focus 100% deliberately, completely intentionally, without all those distractions, only on sales. What could happen to you, your life, your relationships, your business, and your goals? Because this is the thing, when you actually do this, you move the needle on your goals every single day. So even if the rest of your day is nonsense, let's say you do it first thing in the morning, which is typically the best time, because the later it gets in the day, the more willpower you have to exert, the more multitasking you're doing, the more less in flow you are. So you can knock these out in the beginning of the day. And let's say the rest of the day is just nonsense. It's distractions, it's people walking in, it's crises, it's crisis management. It's okay. Because every single day you are moving the needle on the priorities that matter to you most. In fact, I say if you do this, you will earn your salary every day by noon, and you never end the day thinking, what did I get done today? Right? Every single day when you're moving the needle on your goals, you are feeling accomplished. And it's the best feeling. And if we go back to what does productivity really mean, or what does it mean to me? To me, it's an emotion you feel when you get the results you want. And so again, the rest of the day can be nonsense, but if I'm doing this every day, I know that every day I'm going to feel more motivated, more inspired. I'm going to be a better role model, be a better CEO, a better mom, a better partner, because every day you're sort of building up that confidence that you are getting the most important things, or chipping away at the most important things. So again, I like to show this through another women business owner who's done some amazing things. I want to introduce you to Claire. Now, Claire is incredible. She actually was part of a family business, and they owned 9 restaurants that she was running, 9 restaurants here in Nashville, actually. And she had over 500 employees across all these restaurants. And it's not a chain. So like each restaurant is individual. And as you can even imagine, also 2 young kids, like her life was insane. She was so overloaded, so burnt out. We started working together, and one of the things that she said would be super helpful that we did identify, she's like, we don't have a way to really train all of our employees across all these different locations in a really synergistic way. Like they're sort of all being trained by managers individually. So we can't really like cross them over to like have synergies and efficiencies. And she's like, I've been wanting to create this operations kind of training manual for over 3 years, right? So one of the big things that we did a lot of stuff, we had to, she implemented this power hour every day, which required us to work together to up-level her systems, her focus, really strengthen her delegation skills and boundaries. But we kind of did all that work up front to allow her that time that she could do this. It was still like, it's not like it's guilt-free, but she found the way to do it, right? And did that every day for about 2 months. And after 2 months, she had in her hand that operations training manual, right, that she'd been thinking about for 3 years. So if you think about it, really, that's 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month. And now she had this best practices and training document that her managers could implement across every location synergistically and consistently. And this completely changed the way they were onboarding, they were operating and unifying all these like separate locations into one. And she attributed a 6-figure improvements in their business over the year to this because they could create so many efficiencies. And here's what I thought was so interesting. I wanted to put this quote up because I think so many of us feel this way, but she said this specifically: people think I'm a really organized person, but the truth is I was just getting through each day in survival mode and felt really anxious inside. Can anyone relate to that? To like just everyone thinks we have it so buttoned up, right? Like we exude because we're professionals and we're going to exude that. And inside you're like, if one more thing falls on my plate, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown, And so I just thought it was so honest of her to say that, and then, but to also just see like where she could go. And like I said, because it required us to do so many other changes, like the systemizing and delegating and boundaries, how her entire life changed, not just at work, but also at home with her family. So my question for you is, what would you do with 20 extra hours in your month, right? Or what results rather could you get in any goal in your life if you gave it 20 deliberate hours? So if you want to just go to your worksheets for a second, just think about that and think, what would that goal be? And when will you commit to your priorities? I would love for you to walk out of here thinking like, what will this be for me? Can it be first thing in the morning? Like what change would I have to make that happen? Do I break it up into 2 30-minute things? You know, who do I have to talk to help me with those boundaries? But yeah, just think about that and just write it down. Okay. And again, you just keep working on these afterwards. I just want to make sure we get out of here in time. So, let's do a quick review before we move on to the third strategy. So the A in the ACT framework is, so I'm going to shout it out. Oh, you know what? You're on mute.
Avoid distractions.
Avoid distractions. Yes. And the C is?
Commit to your priorities.
It's your priorities. Awesome. All right. Well, let's move on to the third way. So the third thing we do to disempower ourselves, and then the third strategy. So who here had this meeting or this session on their calendar? Pretty much all of us, right? Okay. Who here has on their calendar to respond to a specific like email that's come up, or a specific project or specific task? Awesome. Good for you. Good. A couple of you. Okay. So yeah. So here's the thing. We typically will have everything on our calendar when it comes to Zoom meetings and workshops and phone calls and even doctor's appointments, hair appointments, calendaring your kids' stuff, vacations, all of that. But the way that we give up control and we disempower ourselves on a daily basis is when we don't actually have the time to get the work done and the time for our priorities on our calendar. Because if it's not on your calendar, it's all on your calendar. And what that means is if you haven't blocked the time for really specific priorities and work on your calendar, then you invite all distractions and you give permission to everyone and everybody else's demands to come onto your calendar, to come onto your schedule and take over. Because here's the thing. You're nice. You're a people person. You're collaborative. You're a partner. So it's really difficult to say no or to hold up your boundaries when there's kind of like this white space there, or you don't have clarity on what you're actually focusing on next. So for example, one thing I see in a lot of clients is that they might have something on a Friday on their calendar that says, such and such thing is due. This RFP or this deliverable is due to this client. You have that on there. But where is the time on Monday to do the research? Where is the time blocked on Tuesday to create the first draft? The time on Wednesday to get the team feedback? The time on Thursday to update it so you can get it out really well on Friday? And when you have multiple, which we all have multiple projects and juggling so many different things personally and professionally, and we don't really have that level of detail that's broken down, that's when you find yourself up against the gun and up against deadlines and stressed out and have complete anxiety, right? Because we're not actually planning out what we have to get done before it hits. And so we keep saying yes to more and more things, or we keep overestimating what we can get done. And it just always ends up in a bad place. So if you may have guessed by now, the T in the ACT format is framework is to time plan. So if you're feeling scattered, you're probably not blocking your time, or you're not blocking it accurately. Okay, so who here regularly overestimates what they can get done in a day? Yeah. Who you're like, you have all these things on your list. You're like, this makes complete sense in my brain that I should be able to do this. And yet I can only get like 3 things like off the list every day. Okay. So I remember I would do that for as long as possible. And I would get so frustrated because I'm like, I am an adult. I don't understand why I don't know how to do this. So I know I'm not alone. I have clients with this. I have lots of colleagues, friends that I work on with this. And so I'll tell you best again through another business owner, what was going on. So Shamika is a lawyer and she has a small team. She has a law firm, and she was frustrated because she tried time blocking many times, and like maybe you have too, right? And she would get so frustrated because she's like, I'm an adult. I've been working in my career for decades. So how can I not know how long things take? Like, well, how can I be this bad at like accurately estimating my time? And there's really 2 reasons we do this. So one is something called the planning fallacy. And that is the belief that things you do in the future won't take as long as the things you've already completed in the past. So it is something in our brain, even though we know it took us 90 minutes, we somehow think, oh, I'll be more efficient at it next time. So I'll allot like 60 minutes for it. So that's one thing. And then the second thing that we have going on in our brain is called optimism bias. And optimism bias leads us to believe that we are unlikely to run into issues that cause delays because we're optimistic, right? You're like, it'll go more smoothly. There won't be a problem. You're not like foreseeing that the problems or the challenges or the next steps that could be happening. So when you combine these 2 tendencies, there is a major gap between what you think you can get done and what you can actually get done. And it doesn't matter how many years you've been working at your craft or in your business. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter, how ambitious you are. You are typically going to underestimate how long things really take, which is why time blocking may not have worked for you in the past. So to think about, again, if we're going back to what productivity really means and how we feel, if you want to avoid this negative consequence of underestimating at both things in your work life and in your home life, you have to make an effort to stop estimating using intuition only. We really want to break down your tasks and projects into small pieces and then estimate time for each individual small piece versus whole projects. And this is what's going to help you be more realistic about what you can get done. And that's what we need. We need a healthy dose of realistic expectations. Because remember, productivity is an emotion you feel when you get the results you want. So how does it feel when you have 10 tasks on your list like this, and at the end of the day, you get 4 marked off? What do you focus on? What are you thinking about at night? Like the 6 you didn't get done, right? That's like the only thing you care about. It's never the success of everything you got done. Now, how would you feel if you had 3, you took one project, you broke it down, you started with the 3 and you got 3 knocked off your list instead of like the 10 and you only did 4, but if you had 3 and did 3, how are you going to feel at the end of the night? Amazing, right? Yeah, perfect. We're going to feel accomplished. We're going to feel inspired. We're going to feel motivated. And then guess what? You can add your next 3 on there and do it again. So this is a practice. It takes some time, but like that idea of breaking down, estimating each thing, and then working on small pieces at a time instead of trying to go to project level is a difference between how you feel confident and how you boost your self-esteem every day, and also how you then stay focused and not feel scattered and get the right things done. So we did this for Shamika, like we worked on this tremendously. And again, it also took other pieces to work with her. We had to create systems. We had to do some more delegating, some more boundaries, but really we focused so much on like the planning the day more accurately. And she said, not only am I back in control at work, but I have so much more time for my family. I've gotten more done in the last 6 weeks than I did in the last 6 months. And the reason for that is because when you do this practice, you will be more focused. You'll stop the multitasking, right? You're not like constantly 100% distracted, going all back and forth all over the place. You gain those 3 to 4 hours, sometimes in a day, certainly in a week, up to 20 hours in a week, when you can start putting these practices together. But when you resist kind of this routine or structure, it can sometimes it makes people feel like boxed in. It shouldn't make you feel like that, because really it's a very liberating experience when you learn how to do it right, right? But when we resist that we're going to fall into reactiveness, and a lack of priorities are going to rule your day. We are humans. It is just human nature. And we never end up then making progress on the things that really matter. So if you remember right in the beginning, I was telling you, I used to think it was like how many things I was doing as long as I was busy, but I never felt 100% like I was getting anything done well, or I was getting anything done in flow, because it's such a scatteredness, and I was never finishing anything 100%. And so this is the difference. And that's why you can actually get more done in 6 weeks than you can in 6 months. When you embrace this this time planning, you actually make the time to plan on a consistent basis with realistic expectations. When you do it like that, you're not only going to feel more successful, but you're also making massive impact on your revenue, your growth, your role modeling, your creativity, your relationships, and all your problem solving skills in your business and, with your family. So my last question for you then today is, how can you accurately block your time? What can you take away from this? What do you think is something that's going to help you block your time better, or plan your time more accurately? Okay, so again, take some time after this to, really think about this and take this action. All right, so let's do a review here. Tell me one more time, what is in the ACT? Because the more we reinforce it, the better it'll stick with us. The A, and you can unmute yourselves now. The A in ACT is?
Avoid distractions.
Right. The C is?
Commit to your priorities.
Yes. And the T?
Time plan.
Time plan. That's right. So commit to these, commit to these, commit to these. And I guarantee if you even start with one, because that's usually the best way to start, instead of with all three at one time, start with one. And I guarantee you put just even one of these into action for 3 days. That's kind of I know there's like this 31 days to like create habits, but I think in 3 days, you actually just see results. You do any one of these, even for a day, but really over 3 days, you're going to start to see the results, feel more confident, and be like, you know what, this is something I really should be practicing more. And as you get master that, then like take on another one of the strategies there. So if you put these simple tools into practice, you're going to go truly from stagnant to growth. You're going to go from average to excellent, from confusion to clarity, and really from overwhelmed to overjoyed that, again, you are hitting your goals every single day. And that is what productivity is what you feel every day when you feel really successful about what you got done. So before I close, I was hoping we could have probably 2 minutes if there's any questions. Does anybody have anything? Yes, for Stephanie.
I had a question about the everything in one place.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't, with the priorities changing constantly with the emails and the texts and the people stopping in. I just feel like if you really looked at how I spend time, it's like trying to reprioritize constantly. So I'm just wondering if anyone has an app. I mean, one of the ways I've done it now is I just always have a notebook. Like in home, I have one, and at work, I have one, and I keep everything there, and I highlight and rewrite, but does anyone have an app that it's just like I can keep, like I used to use this thing called Kanban years ago. It was like a visual, you move things, and when you're done, you move. And I remember it being very effective.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if anyone has an app that could help me prioritize, reprioritize all day.
Yeah, well, I'll be happy to jump in if it's okay. So first of all, you're right. And that is like the whole day is reprioritizing. So it doesn't go away, even if we have the perfect app. Like that's just like the reality of life and jobs. But the reason I think digital is so great, because you even said yourself, I'm rewriting and I'm rewriting and I'm rewriting. And that's why I think the digital list is so important at this point with the way technology is, and it make it so easy for you, because instead of you rewriting, yeah, wouldn't it be great if you can just drag it over or copy and paste or insert a row? So something I think one of the most user-friendly technology tools is Asana. That's the one I always recommend because it's so user-friendly, and that you can actually set that up with the boards, like you mentioned, the Kanban. So if you don't like lists, you can do the boards. And it's just that the idea of being able to drag back and forth is very, very, very helpful.
Yeah, I used that when I was moving, and I remember it was very effective. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, again, like as a basic, I think there's so many other ones and they're just so overcomplicated. We just need simple, like the simplest thing. And I love, again, also that it's on your phone, because let's say your notepad is in the car, or, whatever, it's downstairs and you're upstairs, you have nowhere to write it down.
And the Post-it thing, I just constantly have Post-its, and it's a mess. So
yeah. But feel free to reach out to me after if you want to talk more about it. But that would be my go-to software is Asana.
Thanks. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so I mentioned early on that there's 7 ways to take control of your actions. So if in case you want to, you want that, then just let me know. You can either if you want to just say yes in the box, I guess the chat box, everyone doesn't want it. And I think I can get everyone's emails from Jackie. I think that would probably be the fastest way at this point. If that's okay, Jackie, is that all right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you want it, then we'll just go ahead and I will do that. And then, lastly, there we go. I've learned the software. Okay. I have 3 spots open for a Reclaim 20 hours a week session. So again, if it's something you're just interested in, there's no like application, there's no anything. It's like, let's talk about it and see, we might be a good fit. Then just email me. You can just put the word focus and I'll know it's from here. And Mridu Life is Organized. If you're watching the replay, you can email me for that as well, or email me for the free resource. All right. So like I had to learn the hard way, you don't get what you want and where you want to be by simply working harder and doing more, right? You have to get focused and follow a plan. So if your goal is to double your revenue or cut out 20 hours a week, or rather gain 20 hours a week while increasing your sales, if it's to lose 15 pounds, if it's to write the book, or if it's to finally have a consistent routine that you actually stick to every day, I am so confident that you can reach your goals. You can have success in any area that you want when you intentionally take control of where your time goes. You can feel successful and productive at the end of each and every day. So you have the first steps to making powerful changes to get anything you want. And now all you have to do is act on them. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I think we're out right on time. Please get in touch if you just have any follow-up questions or want to talk. I could talk about this for hours. So thank you very much.
And do you mind if I insert a comment real quick, Jackie,
Sure.
before
Yeah.
might want to close? Okay. Thank you so much. This was fantastic. I needed to hear this advice personally, and I think those of you in the room hopefully benefited too. I just want to mention that Mridu came to us from Pathway Women's Business Center, Nashville, Tennessee, recommended that we should consider how we can use her expertise, both for Hope to Women and for AWBC. And so for women's business centers in the room, if she's a consultant that you would find valuable for your clients, want you to know she's certainly open to that. And then if you would like to see her again, if you'd like to see her in Kansas City, if you think being in person might be better than, this virtual environment, I think we're all so sick of it. I just want to open the invitation for input from anyone here, because if I could actually put her advice to action, I think action you know, I do think that I would be more effective at getting to my goals, and I want that for all of you as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I see someone says they want me to put my email back up. I'm going to do that. But thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I agree. I would love to, pick up a conversation with anybody at any time. There we go. There's my email. So yeah, just shoot me a message. And Corinne and Jackie, thank you so much for coordinating all this. I really appreciate it.
This was fantastic. I mean, I was laughing and I felt it was so real. So I think everybody can kind of relate a little bit as well. So I appreciate you doing this training, and I love that everybody is hoping you come back. So that's great feedback as well. Did we have any takeaways from the audience? Anything that you guys wanted to share? Or final thoughts?
I just think you can't hear this stuff too much. I think sometimes we do get in our day-to-day. And so just revisiting it often to make sure, maybe you did create a habit for avoiding distractions, but maybe you haven't gotten to that next level. So just always revisiting it is always good.
I had just like an aha of, I get so stressed out with the reprioritizing that then I numb out with social media. So it's like, if I wasn't so stressed, I don't think I would need to like check out. So it's like buying back the time in both those things.
That is such a good insight. That is so true. So true.
And I'm just wondering if this question, I'm asking myself the same thing, because some of the interruptions I can't ignore. I can't tune out the distractions where I sometimes feel like I'm the customer service department, for things. I didn't ask for these questions to come my way, but I feel like it's literally my job to be available and answer these types of questions. Which makes it not possible sometimes for me to get the stuff I had planned for me to do that day. But these things are more important than incoming. But what I'm curious, are there guardrails that you can put around in your day? Like I might be able to put around mine to say, can I build some expectations where like from 9 to 10, that's my power hour. And I'm just not going to answer questions from staff. Sorry, Jackie. WBCs. Sorry, ladies. Like, can I build some guardrails for myself and still protect the priority, which is that kind of customer service mode that I pride myself on?
I love that. Could I inject one thing here? Just a story I hear. So a lot of women that I work with they're very nervous to put up those types of boundaries, even for the hour, because they're like, everyone needs me, my team needs me. And then they'll roll it out. Then we just tell their immediate team, hey, this is what we're going to do. They're saying very cautiously. And the team 100% of the time is so grateful. They're like, oh, thank you. Can we have the hour too that we all get to focus? And it just becomes like this, everybody gets to focus for 1 hour and everyone has so much gratitude, but we're like walking on eggshells trying to do it. And then it's like, oh, everyone else is just as busy as we are, right? And we forget, like they're also stressed out. And so I think it can be a gift to everyone, not just yourself.
I want to jump in that we go on walks together, our team, and it's not just business. We talk personal things too, but it's really been a nice way to get oxygen, get sunshine, and get to know each other. So it's been a nice addition to collaborating and teamwork.
I love that.
Thank you so much. And thanks for going a couple minutes over for us
No
to
problem.
just unravel it. It was great. I hope everyone has a wonderful and productive rest of your day.
Yeah.
You too.
Happy
Thank
Thanksgiving.
you. Bye.